Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel V. Hill, presented by Superbook Sports. Taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel V. Hill.
Happy Friday, everybody. Day 3 of Broncos training camp going to get underway here shortly. The fans are finally allowed in the building. Their first time seeing the 2023 Broncos. DMac, how you feeling? How was yesterday? Major thoughts on it?
Well, there was the on the field stuff, and then there was all the off the field news. So
which was the bigger, like what was talked about? I feel like everybody.
We talked way more about the off the field stuff than the on the field stuff. And the big question I have, and I'm brewing a cup of coffee. I'm late. Where things are askew here.
I'll give everybody, while you get your cup of coffee, just a story of what happened this morning. So DMac calls me as I'm headed into the studio. Like, I had barely left my neighborhood, you guys. And he goes, "Hey, my car died." And I'm like, "Oh no." And then I'm like, "Well, wait a second. I'm running late because my car was dead too this morning. Both of our cars died. I don't even know." I'm like, I have a relatively semi-new car. I mean, it's probably like 5 years old now, but that's still pretty new for a car. And I'm like, why is my car dead? I'm taking my fiance's car out. DMac is like, my car is dead. I'm like, you know what? Okay, this is how today's going to go.
Karma is telling us something. And my car died, and I told you I had my son coming. He doesn't like coming out to the suburbs, so that, but, to jump it in some dad guilt. And I don't know. So something's going on. And Rachel, I've told you a million times, I know how to kind of do this.
Yep.
And talk about sports. And that's it. So I'm like, is there a light on here? Because it's a battery situation. I'm like, what's going on? I just had the battery checked out. It was okay. Now I'm just, I don't know.
Confused.
Now I just wonder if it's easier just to use Uber and not have a car at all. I have no
car
idea.
Insurance, no gas, just Uber everywhere.
But, for me, well, you have access to another car,
True.
Right? Yeah. I'm on my bike like I'm 12.
The first thought in my head, though, I was like, I'm probably going to have to go pick DMac up so we can make it to training camp. Like, that was the first thought.
I'm very, very lucky in my life that, first of all, I love riding my bike. And where I live is training camp is only about 5 or 6 miles away. It's actually not that far at all. And then work, where our building is, that's only another 5 or 6 miles away or so too. So I'm a very lucky guy when it comes to that stuff. So I'll get in my little workouts and sweat in the sun and watch training camp and all that. My coffee's ready. I'm gonna just amuse yourself for a second.
Perfect. While DMac gets his coffee, the fans are welcomed in the building today. I'm actually really excited for them, but it's a limited amount. It's only 3,000 fans will be down there. I just saw the Chiefs, their practice is already rolling, and they were expecting 8,000 people there. But whose doing is this? Because we've heard it's the city being like, oh, you can't have that many people on that, small of area. But then it's also like, well, things have just drastically changed a lot under Sean Payton. So it's kind of like, why are we seeing limited numbers?
I think it's a combination of both. I do believe that Arapahoe County definitely had something to do with the crowd size. Mm-hmm. And I think they don't really want the hassle. So I think the Broncos are trying to follow the rules. I do think something literally did change. In fact, Jeff Legwald wrote all about it. Mm-hmm. Basically, there was somebody who saw a photo and kind of ratted out the situation to the local government, according to the article by Jeff Legwald. And so they made a restriction. Now they're doing this ticket thing. And I don't know, Rach. I mean, who knows who shows up? We'll see. I think it's probably going to be the lowest attended training camp of all time. Mm-hmm. But you never know. Maybe this press for tickets will make, I got a ticket. Oh boy, I got to go now. I got a ticket. So we'll see. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe it'll be sold out every day. Who knows?
Are the players still doing autographs? Have anybody?
Yeah. Hey, every question you ask about, is this happening? Is that happening? Fair game. Yeah. Because I mean, I would be stunned if they're not doing that. After practice yesterday, there was a period of time where the players were out with their wives, girlfriends, kids, relatives, which is very typical of training camp, that you get to sort of be out and about. But there are some significant changes. For example, no radio stations are being allowed to broadcast from inside of the walls. That is a gargantuan change from the past, I don't know. I mean, literally, Rachel, in my 24 years of being here in Denver and working in the media with the Broncos, I never recall that. There's always been some sort of radio presence like inside of the walls.
Yeah.
And that's not the case this year. So that is a significant difference. Where the media is being allowed to line up, they're on the hill with the fans, basically.
So if you see us, say hi, because we're going to be walking around just hanging out over there.
And that's some amazing irony, because years and years ago, the Broncos would sort of look for media who are hanging out on the hill. And now we're all hanging out on the hill. Like, everybody's up on the hill. So, the limited fans, the media, everybody's going to have the same vantage point. And what happens, or at least what has happened, at least for the first couple days, is that once practice is close to being over, they kind of shepherd the media like, meh. They just shepherd the media over to the podium and then go back to the windowless bunker room inside of the field house, where they bring people over. And now you've got to request people. You can't just grab guys off the field. They put up little stanchions, like ropes around, so you can't like go out of the ropes to sort of casually run into people. It is tightened up. So okay. I
feel
mean,
like the only respectable thing to say is okay, Sean.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, the only thing with all these restrictions is you might say, cry me a river, shut up, don't worry about it. The only thing this does, it just sort of restricts the access the fans have to information about what's going on. That being said, there's still a million media people out there. You'll essentially know what's happening. It's just not the same. It's a significant change.
I agree. And Sean Payton, we've heard...
look at me and you. We're here, right? We're like in our, like, we really, would be just down there doing this from, but it's like, it's a whole thing. Yeah. But we're happy to cover it no matter what. I know it sounds like I'm being a crybaby here, so I'll zip that. I'm happy that Broncos training camp is open up for everybody. Yeah. And we're excited to see what's what. But
Sean Payton has kind of put a little bit of pressure on himself and the Broncos team this year with that article from USA Today from Jarrett Bell. But DMac, I think it's spun in a different way than maybe what people were thinking. Like, it's kind of turned into this whole, especially against the Jets now, like an absolute must-win game. Otherwise, you kind of look like a giant idiot. Like, I don't know what other way to say it, but it kind of took its own turn. I think maybe Sean Payton was trying to, hype up his team. And I said yesterday, hype up his quarterback and, get everybody really excited because things will be different. But it just kind of turned into this completely other message that the media essentially took with it.
Well, I mean, the fans love it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
But if you lose, you just embarrass that fan base all over again.
It was the lead story for a while on the news on ESPN all day. They were talking about it in New York. Nathaniel Hackett was asked about it. I mean, there's all this sort of buzz about
Wait. I didn't see Hackett got asked about it.
He did.
I saw Robert Saleh got asked about it, but I didn't see. What did Hackett say?
It just nothing, Now that I think about it, did I just get catfished on that? I'm hesitant to say anything because I thought it was a direct quote from Hackett, but maybe I'm wrong about it.
Well,
Maybe I just got, I don't know. Because the quote, now that I'm thinking about the quote, I'm wondering if it was just a fake quote. You know what, Rachel? Maybe I should just move on. And are you looking it up?
I don't see Hackett. Yeah. I think
what?
Robert Saleh.
Let's just move on. It's a lot of very gossipy, rah-rah. The consensus amongst the coaching fraternity is, you don't usually throw each other under the bus. The job is really hard. It's a tight-knit group for the most part. But then again, Sean Payton doesn't care. And that's what fans absolutely love. Sean Payton doesn't care. The fans love it. What I found was interesting, Rach, is the one thing, Sean Payton said, we're going to do everything different. Okay. Well, one of those things is restricting things from Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson had already given those things up. Jerry Rosberg had gone in and asked Russell Wilson, well, get rid of heaps and can you get rid of that stuff? And in Mike Kliss's column, he said that, Russell Wilson complied with everything Rosberg asked for. So, Rachel, it's not like Russell Wilson has gone to Sean Payton and asked for any of those things. Yeah. He hasn't, because they were already gone in the first place. So there wasn't really anything that Sean Payton has taken away from Russ. I don't know what the parking situation and bathroom situation is for relatives of Russell Wilson. That was kind of a unique thing. But I don't really know why Sean Payton. Well, I don't know. We'll find out. I guess we can do some digging on everything. So the one thing that happened last year is the Broncos and Nathaniel Hackett went out of their way to prop up Russell Wilson, which makes perfect sense. But what I heard a lot this offseason, Rachel, was how you got to make Russell Wilson accountable. You got to, kick him in the butt on things. You got to challenge him on things, all that sort of stuff. And what Sean Payton did was say, well, none of this was Russell Wilson's fault. It was all other people's fault. And then he threw everybody, under the sun, under the bus. And it's just like, well, hold on a second. If you're going to do everything different than last year, why exactly are you doing kind of the same exact thing, which is just kind of propping up Russell Wilson instead of just saying, no, Russ was accountable too?
I understand your point there a little bit, but I think the situation is different. When Russell Wilson came to Denver, he was the hero. He was the biggest celebrity. He had, I personally didn't know Russ, but my guess is his head was feeling a little bit bigger than maybe typical because he was like the hero. Everybody was talking about Russell Wilson. I remember him running out and how many cameras were there for training camp when he ran out of the locker room. Like, the energy around Russell Wilson was huge. This year, I feel like there's hardly any energy around Russell Wilson. So I feel like he needs a pick-me-up. I don't think Hackett needed to pick up the quarterback that was being the hottest commodity in the NFL at the time. I think now Sean Payton has to, because I don't think the confidence level of his quarterback was quite what it was last year. So I understand what you're saying. Same thing, but different situations.
I think that's a fair point. And listen, I don't think there's anything wrong with supporting your quarterback. I think you've got to support your quarterback. I think that's an important relationship, and it's important to do. I guess, the one quote is everything, we're doing everything different from last year. And it's like, okay, I mean, you're doing a lot of things different. But, at the end of the day, what Hackett was trying to do the most was build a relationship, at least, between him and Russell Wilson for the betterment of the team, which actually is the right thing to do. So it's not the wrong thing to do from Hackett's perspective, nor is it the wrong thing to do from Payton's perspective. It's just highly unusual that one coach by name would call out a previous coach. I mean, that's just unusual. What can I tell you?
Week 5 just got a whole hell of a lot more interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah, because it wasn't just the coaches and the GM and the president of the Broncos that Payton called out. He also called out the New York Jets for going on Hard Knocks. Yeah. Which is a weird one too, because Hard Knocks, there's only like 3 or 4 teams that qualify for Hard Knocks. No teams really want to do it. I mean, really? Like, that's like I didn't even get that. I didn't understand, like, did Sean Payton think like the New York Jets were trying to steal all the glory or something? And the funny part about that is he's calling them out for attracting attention to themselves by going to a national reporter from USA Today that put Sean Payton and the Broncos on the front page.
That's
So
the part that doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, anonymous donors? What happened?
I don't even know what anonymous donors even means now. I mean, right now, it sounds like Vic Fangio saying death by inches. And, you know, all it was death by inches with Vic Fangio. And, you know, anonymous donors, if you can't apply it to yourself, then why even bother telling your team? I mean, you know, anonymous donors, you're the one that had the one-on-one meeting with Jarrett Bell from USA Today. I mean, good for Jarrett Bell. But I mean, anonymous donors, that doesn't reek of like doing one-on-one national interviews to put a lot of attention. And what is the Sean? And this, by the way, this interview was done like in his office in the morning. That it wasn't some sort of crazy thing, Rachel. It wasn't some sort of late night sort of conversation. It was nothing like that. It was in a very organized, you know, focused sort of situation. Yeah.
Oh, Sean Payton. And what's even funnier is I feel like last year we heard from Hackett every single day. We didn't hear from Sean Payton yesterday. He did not take the podium at all.
Not yesterday. And my guess is he will do, I don't know what they're required to do for head coaches, but my guess is he will do as little as possible.
9 minutes. I think that's the range.
Well, I mean, when he speaks, I think that'll just depend on how he's feeling.
Yeah.
There may be some days he wants to talk more. Some days he wants to talk less. There's less media access starting today. Whatever. I don't know. I kind of don't care. I'm just going to enjoy the Broncos and what they've got going on. And let me be clear here about Sean Payton for a second. I know this sounds again like I'm being critical of Sean Payton. So far, I've been a big fan. And I don't think you have to win hearts and minds to be a great football coach. There's a lot of ways to do it. And when you fall off the Bill Parcells sort of, you know, tree, you know, it's not warm and huggy and comfy. It's not like that. It's making people feel uncomfortable kind of on purpose to get everybody on edge for their best performance. So I still remain, Rachel, definitely 1,000% a fan of Sean Payton and what he's doing. Because this team needs a complete culture rebuild, okay? Sean Payton is a celebrity coach. He is. And this is kind of what you get with it. So I'm okay with it. I'm more than okay with it because at the end of the day, you want to win. And it had not been working the other way. So I understand why they went in this direction. And if you go in this direction, you've got to be okay with, you know, changes. And like Greg Penner said, you know, don't sit here and tell me, well, we do it this way because we've always done it this way. Yeah. So I'm okay with the changes, Rachel. We're just getting used to them.
It's an adjustment period. It's a ramp up period, as Sean Payton would say. I do think that this team will look a lot better than they did last year. And at the end of the day, all that matters is you win football games, whether the Muggles are happy, whether the fans have a ton of access, yada, yada. Fans, media, we all just want to win football games. And I do think Sean Payton will essentially allow this football team to do that. So let's go to what happened on the field yesterday. Who stood out to you and who were you kind of watching and being like, all right, what's going on here?
Yesterday was a little bit more muted. It was a little bit more run centric. Yeah. It was a little bit, and Patrick Surtain made a really nice play on one particular pass thrown by Russell Wilson. So there were, I mean, I think we still go with looking at Javonte Williams and hearing from Javonte yesterday, Rach, was really positive. I just get nervous for him. That's all. I'm nervous for Javonte Williams. We saw the lengthy rehab of Jamal Murray, and to think that Javonte Williams could come back in almost half of the time is staggering, but he was out there. He said he was feeling good. It's the first time that he's really run through traffic over the past couple days. So he's somebody to keep in mind. I know you like Jaleel McLaughlin, who you saw. Who stood out to you?
Dude, McLaughlin is so fast. I was like shocked by it. I know you had mentioned him from minicamp and OTAs, but for the first time for me seeing him, holy smokes, the dude can run. There were multiple times where you were just like, oh, there he goes again. So number 38, if you're going out to practice anytime soon, number 38 looks fantastic, super fast, fun to watch. the Pat Surtain, it's the weirdest thing because you see Pat Surtain make such a great play, but then on the other hand, you're like, oh, well, the offense doesn't look as good. But you have to remember, Pat Surtain is like the number one corner in the league. Like, he is so special. So you're kind of playing this like double-sided thing of like, well, then the offense doesn't look as good, but at least Pat Surtain looks great. So you're kind of in this weird, I don't know, middle space of like, okay, well, what did we actually just learn here? Do we just learn that Pat Surtain is really just this badass and so good at his job? Or did we learn that our offense isn't going to be as good as we're hoping?
No, I think we're just,
devil's advocate. You're like, oh, what did we just learn?
Yeah, I mean, Pat Surtain's a great player. He's going to make great plays. I thought day one was a lot more interesting actually than day two. And we'll see today if things in particular change. I do think they are doing 7-on-7s again, and likely they'll start doing 1-on-1s. They'll amp up to that. I will say this, Rachel, I do think, and it's kind of a no duh moment, but I did think Russell Wilson did look like the best quarterback out there. I thought his passes looked good. His timing was good. Like, I don't think there was any confusion. And I know that's a no-duh sort of moment. But, there were moments during the OTAs and minicamp where it wasn't that clear. Yesterday, to me, was crystal clear. And I anticipate that just going more and more. And I do think one thing we'll see with Sean Payton, I think the backup quarterbacks, Rachel, will just get fewer and fewer reps.
Yeah.
I think Russell Wilson is in great shape. I think he's just going to get more and more and more and more and more. So I think fans going out there should, you're going to see a huge dose of Russell Wilson, and so far so good.
He looks really good. We talked about it yesterday. I know he does look good. He was during some of the stretching they were doing. He was right next to the media where we were all able to like take pictures and stuff. And I was just sitting there and I'm like, he looks like how Russell Wilson should look. Like last year was just a fluke, I feel like, for his like physical appearance. And I'm like, he looks really good. And he's just moving around too. And like such a positive like stance, I guess you could say, because he just looks so much better. I know it sounds weird to just like sitting here being complimenting him, but it's really true compared to last year and this year. It's like a complete 180.
Yeah, the team was in such disarray in terms of the organization and their process. I spoke a little Canadian there. I hope you could understand me. That you just sort of always thought, well, this is the whole, is it a dip or is it a decline?
Mm-hmm.
And let's hope it's just a dip and not a decline. And
we'll dip and then we're just going to go up.
Yes. Yeah, let's hope so, because man, I'm losing it here today. I apologize. Russell Wilson, let's not twist it. Russell Wilson is a phenomenal athlete.
Yes.
It just didn't look like that last year. Last year, it looked terrible. But this guy is a great athlete, a way above average athlete. At least he has been. So to get back to that, it's hard. He's turning 35 in November. Mm-hmm. He's got to work amongst the Avengers and the AFC for quarterbacks. You've got maybe the greatest quarterback, arguably, we'll see, Patrick Mahomes in your same division, who you've lost to 15 straight times. I mean, this is not easy. So
can we talk about Joe Burrow real quick?
Sure. I mean, that's terrible. What are your thoughts?
Did you see the play?
It's a non-contact scramble. He wasn't even running that hard. It's a little freaky.
And all of a sudden, you just see it like give out. They're saying it's a hamstring injury, so you're happy to hear.
Hamstring or calf injury?
Excuse me, calf injury.
Calf strain or something, right?
Like, I mean, it didn't look good, and the fact that he just immediately went down, and you even saw some of his teammates being like, "Oh no, what just happened?" I'm really curious to hear if we get any more information out of it today.
Totally agree. And what caused it and what brought it. That's why, we can't play guys in preseason. We can't do this. Rachel, guys just get hurt playing football.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, of course you should play in preseason. You got to get ready for the real season. You can't be afraid of football while you're getting ready for football. I mean, obviously there's some certain things that you can, be smart about.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, look what happened to Joe Burrow. I mean, I mean, my goodness. I mean, like, what the hell? It was as if you just got hurt, like walking down the street.
Yeah.
So,
same with Jalen Ramsey. He's out 5 to 6 weeks now. I mean,
I didn't even catch that. What happened to Jalen Ramsey?
I'm not exactly sure. I'm not like, I just know, I think it was a non-football or like a non-contact injury. Excuse me. I'm trying to remember all the injuries that are happening now in the NFL because I feel like stuff is rolling out all the time. But yeah, he's out 5 to 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't even catch that.
He has, I don't think it's a torn meniscus, but he has a meniscus issue.
Oh my God.
For 5 to 6 weeks. Coming back to me.
Okay. Okay. I know. That sounds scary for him. That's a knee injury for a cornerback. That could be a tough deal.
But it's football. Personal question. Let's take everything else aside. The Broncos had so many injuries last year. Do you think any part of it had to do with the fact that it was quote unquote babied up until the start of the season? I'm just curious from your personal opinion.
I think what Hackett had them do wasn't conducive to what you needed to do to be prepared to play football. Mm-hmm. I think Lauren Landau, who I am personal friends with, I think Lauren Landau did his absolute best under the circumstances to get the guys as ready as he could. Mm-hmm. To blame Lauren, that was like one of the most ridiculous things all off season was like blaming Lauren Landau. So I think it was a weird set of circumstances that he had to deal with. And it's hard to say. It's a great question, Rachel. It's absolutely a great question. I know they've studied it. Yeah, I know you've got to play football to get ready for football. Mm-hmm. And injuries are going to happen. Injuries will happen during Broncos training camp. That won't be anybody's fault. It just happens, and you hope they're not that bad. And we were all there, sadly, when Tim Patrick was just diving for a pass, nothing special, just a play that you'd see in training camp, and he tore his ACL. Yeah. And he's back, too. We're talking about Javonte Williams. Tim Patrick's back. Garrett Bowles got his foot hurt in a game. He's back. There's a lot of guys that are returning to the Broncos.
His foot hurt. He broke his leg, DMac. Don't be like,
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to minimize it. I did not. I'm not trying to stomp on the GB zone. All props to the GB zone. So sorry. Didn't mean to make it sound like he just had a boo-boo.
Well, yeah, he's back. They're all back. They're looking good. We hope nobody gets hurt, but at the same time, we are excited that fans are going to be in the building. Football is back. Day 3 rolls on today. Of course, DMac and I will be back on Monday with Coffee Break, but don't worry, we keep you updated on social media, so make sure to follow us over there on Twitter. And we'll keep you guys updated the next 2 days because camp rolls on today and tomorrow. Sunday's an off day, and like I said, back here, 10:30 a.m. for Coffee Break. We hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, and we'll see you then. Bye.
Bye.